Now, Malaysia hails the potential of cooperation with Qatar in various fields such as oil and gas, housing and infrastructure development. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said Malaysia and Qatar are also able to develop a strategic framework for food security through a collaboration between Baladna Food Industries and FGV Holdings Berhad in the development of dairy cattle farming in Chuping Perlis and Pahang soon. In a Facebook post, the Premier said he received a courtesy call from Qatar's Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the Foreign Affairs Minister, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman Al Thani, at his office in Putrajaya. The meeting is a follow-up to his first official visit to Qatar last March. He expressed hope that the discussions held will be able to strengthen bilateral relationship and chart a way forward on several issues of mutual interest between the two countries. In the meeting, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri also expressed his appreciation for the $50 million contribution through the Qatar Fund for Development, or QFFD, towards the welfare of Rohingya refugees in Malaysia, especially in taking care of their health and educational needs. The Premier also took the opportunity to congratulate and to wish success to Qatar, who will host the 2022 World Cup. Sheikh Mohammed's two-day official visit to Malaysia starting Thursday also serves as a lead-up preparation for the state visit of Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, to Malaysia in 2023. The Communications and Multimedia Ministry, or KCOM, will introduce a special application to curb activities related to hacking. Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa said a meeting with the application owner would be held outside of the country soon.
Dan saya juga sedang meminta supaya dibuat proof of concept oleh Cyber Security Malaysia sendiri. Saya nak ada 1-2 step lagi sebelum kita boleh lancarkan untuk orang ramai gunakan.
The minister added that the anti-hacking application can be used by all gadgets registered in the country, but the question of payment had yet to be decided. If there is a charge, Tan Sri Anwar said the ministry will ensure that the price is reasonable and suitable for all parties. He added that the application can help to check hacking activities which are getting prevalent now. On another note, Tan Sri Anwar said his ministry will take immediate action regarding the data breach incident that hit online payment service provider iPay88 Malaysia Sdn Berhad. He also said that the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, or MCMC, the Personal Data Protection Department, PDPD, and Cyber Security Malaysia, CSM, were looking into the matter and have met with iPay88. The minister noted that the case is still being investigated further by iPay88's vendor, CISA, from Singapore, who identified the threat Cobalt Strike being used.
Server yang dikatakan affected telah pun di offline bagi tujuan imaging dan preservation. Yang mereka perlu memberikan update daripada penyiasatan mereka kepada Jabatan Perlindungan Data Peribadi.
Media outlets previously reported that iPay88 confirmed that a cybersecurity incident had occurred that may have compromised consumer credit card data. Now, the company reportedly issued a statement saying that since 31st of May, it had engaged a cybersecurity expert to address the issue and that they were working closely with the authorities. The Human Resources Ministry is planning to introduce a social security scheme to better protect the welfare of workers in the P-hailing and E-hailing sector. Minister Datuk Sri M. Saravanan said this could be implemented quickly using his power as minister and with the approval of the Cabinet. Elaborating further in the matter, Datuk Sri Saravanan said his ministry would meet with representatives of these two groups of workers to get their input before tabling the matter in the Cabinet. He said in a week or two, the ministry will make an announcement on how to use the power of the Human Resources Minister to provide a social security network for this group. Now, he was speaking to reporters after launching the Islamic Skills Training Loan, or PLKI, and My Perkasa portal on technical and vocational education and training, or TVET, at the Kuala Lumpur World Trade Center. Datuk Sri Saravanan said this when asked to comment on the issue of e-hailing and p-hailing workers staging a strike recently to protest the deduction of delivery charges by companies providing the service. On PLKI, he said the Sharia-compliant loans, which are open to all races, would empower the country's TVET agenda to produce more skilled workers in line with the Fourth Industrial Revolution, or IR 4.0. He said in line with changes under the IR 4.0, PTPK had been asked to identify programs which have a brighter chance of overcoming the problem of mismatch between jobs and qualifications of job seekers. The Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, or FMM, has reiterated its call for the current application procedures for foreign workers' approval to be maintained for a quick turnaround on the applications. Now, President Tan Sri Sotian Lai said FMM felt that the current foreign worker application procedures should not be stopped as it would disrupt the current economic recovery. Commenting further through a statement released, Tan Sri So said the procedure includes the decentralization of the interview process via the One-Stop Centre OSC at state labour offices to allow the industry a seamless process of foreign worker application. The statement was in reaction to the Ministry of Human Resources, or MOHR, temporary stoppage of the foreign workers application process from the 15th to the 31st of August this year to revise the application procedure. Now, Tan Sri So said the decentralization of the interview process, which was just introduced on the 1st of August, is very facilitative to address the bottleneck in the interview process and ease the travelling and congestion at the MOHR OSC at Putrajaya. He also said that the frequent suspension of the processing of foreign workers' application is very disruptive to the planning of the industries in getting their workers in during this very critical period where industries continue to face numerous challenges to their operations. Now, this include labour shortages that are impairing their ability to operate at maximum capacity towards business recovery. He added that the last suspension was from the 1st to the 15th of June this year. The Royal Malaysian Customs Department recently seized around 66,000 smuggled bottles and cans of beer and 3 vehicles worth 1.2 million ringgit in Kampong Teluk Gong in Port Klang. Customs Assistant Director General for Enforcement Fazila Arif said when they raided a warehouse on the 2nd of August, 7 individuals were at the premise moving the beer from a bonded truck to a small lorry and a van. Fazila said the individuals all ran away as soon as they realized the presence of enforcement personnel and added that efforts are being made to track the individuals along with the owners of the premises and vehicles. Now, she also noted that no importation documents were found with the seized items. The Customs Assistant Director General for Enforcement added that the case was being investigated under Section 135, subsection 1D of the Customs Act 1967 and Section 74, subsection 1A of the Excise Act 1976. On the foreign front, controversial author Salman Rushdie stabbed at New York cultural hub. A British author, Salman Rushdie, whose writings have made him the target of death threats, was attacked and stabbed in the neck at the literary event on Friday in New York. Now, police said that a male suspect stormed the stage and attacked Rushdie and an interviewer, with the writer suffering an apparent stab wound to the neck. Rushdie was airlifted to the hospital following the attack that occurred just before 11 a.m. local time. Now, police did not provide details of the prominent figure's condition beyond that he was still in surgery. They identified the suspect in custody as Hadi Mata, a 24-year-old from Fairfield, New Jersey. A probable motive behind the attack remained unclear, and police say Rushdie was also stabbed in the abdomen as well. A number of people rushed to the stage and took the suspect to the ground before a trooper present at the event arrested him. A doctor in the audience administered medical care until emergency first responders arrived. An interviewer on stage, 73-year-old Ralph Henry Rees, suffered a facial injury but has been released from the hospital. Now, Rushdie, 75, was propelled into the spotlight with his second novel, Midnight's Children, in 1981, which won international praise and Britain's prestigious Booker Prize for its portrayal of post-independence India. But his 1988 book, The Satanic Verses, sparked a religious decree calling for his death by Iranian revolutionary leader Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. The novel was considered as disrespectful towards the Prophet Muhammad. In the United States, health officials has identified the virus that causes polio in New York City's wastewater, suggesting local transmission of the virus and urging unvaccinated New Yorkers to get vaccinated. Now, the identification comes weeks after a case of polio in an adult was made public on the 21st of July in Rockland County, marking the nation's first confirmed case in nearly 10 years. In 1955. New York officials have said they are opening vaccine clinics to help unvaccinated residents get their shots. Now, polio is often asymptomatic and people can transmit the virus even when they do not appear sick. But it can produce mild flu-like symptoms that can take as long as 30 days to appear. The virus can strike at any age, but the majority of those affected are children aged 3 and younger. An Australian court on Friday ordered Google to pay 60 million Aussie dollars as a fine for misleading consumers to get permission for the use of personal data for targeted advertising. And the verdict by the Federal Court of Australia comes as Australian authorities look to limit the dominance of tech. Behemoths, including Google, owned by Alphabet Inc. and Facebook Inc., and control their use of private data to cross-sell products. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, or ACCC, Australia's competition regulator, filed a lawsuit in July 2020 accusing the search giant of not getting consent or properly informing consumers to combine personal information in Google accounts with browsing activities on non-Google websites. In April 2021, the court found Google violated consumer laws by misleading users on the collection of personal data about their location using mobile phones with Android operating systems. The company was also found to be in breach of 2 other consumer laws concerning conduct liable to mislead the public and making misleading representations about a service performance characteristics. The Australian Competition and Consumers Commission at the time called the judgment a clear message to digital platforms to be upfront with consumers about what is happening with their data. A ship carrying 13,000 tons of corn from Ukraine entered the northern Italian port of Ravenna on Friday after stopping off in Turkey. A total of 14 ships have now departed from Ukraine over the past 2 weeks, following the deal with Russia to allow a resumption of grain exports from Ukraine's Black Sea ports after they were stalled for 5 months due to the war. The agreement brokered by the United Nations along with Turkey reached last month amid fears that the loss of Ukrainian grain supplies would lead to severe food shortages and even outbreaks of famine in parts of the world. Ukraine, along with Russia, accounted for nearly a third of global wheat exports before the 24th of February, when Moscow launched what it describes as a special operation to demilitarize its neighbor. Now, Ukraine has some 20 million tons of grain left over from last year's crop, while this year's wheat harvest is also estimated at 20 million tons. A prison face-off between members of two rival cartels in the Mexican border city of Juarez caused a riot and shootouts that killed 11 people, with most of them civilians. Los Chapos, members of the infamous Sinaloa cartel, formerly led by Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, and local group Los Mexicals, clashed in a prison on Thursday afternoon, leading to a riot, leaving 2 shot to death and 4 injured with bullet wounds. However, the officials did not clarify details behind the clash. Local media reported gunmen arrived to a Little Caesars pizza parlor and started shooting at the people inside the building and in the parking lot. 4 radio station employees, including a presenter, were killed as they were taking part in a promotional event outside the pizzeria. Now, outside the prison, relatives of inmates who were inside as the clash broke out said they were lucky to leave the prison alive, and added that despite inmates were being attacked, custodians did not intervene. Following the riot, the Mexicals rampaged in the city, authorities said, killing 9 civilians. Around 1 a.m. Friday morning, 6 alleged members of Mexicals were arrested by local police with help from the Army and National Guard. Now, several parts of Juarez were deserted after the bloodshed, with some universities cancelling classes for the day. The killings came just 2 days after cartel-related violence flared in the eastern and central states of Jalisco and Guanajuato, leaving 1 suspected criminal dead, 16 arrested, and 25 businesses and several vehicles burned. Paraguayan Vice President Hugo Velasquez said he would resign and withdraw his candidacy for the presidency after being blacklisted by the United States for alleged significant acts of corruption. Velasquez denied the accusation but said that to protect his party, he would submit his resignation next week. Earlier, the U.S. State Department accused Velasquez of involvement in significant acts of corruption. A statement from U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Velasquez's associate Juan Carlos Duarte had offered a bribe to a Paraguayan public official to obstruct an investigation that threatened the vice president and his financial interests. The U.S. ambassador to Paraguay, Mark Osfield, through a statement said the offered bribe was above $1 million. Responding to the news, Paraguayan President Mario Abdo told journalists continuing the candidacy of the vice president was unacceptable. The State Department in July accused former Paraguayan President Horacio Cartes of significant corruption and of obstructing a cross-border criminal investigation. He, however, dismissed the accusations at the time as unfounded and unjust. Deforestation in Brazil's Amazon rainforest reached a record high for the first 7 months of the year as the region approaches the traditional peak of the annual burning season. Now, government's satellite data showed 5,474 square kilometers were cleared in the region from January to July, up 7.3% from the same period of last year, equaling to an area 7 times the size of New York City. Exceeding last year's record, it was the heaviest deforestation for the period tracking began in 2015. In July alone, deforestation totaled 1,487 square kilometers was recorded, roughly in line with the same month of 2021. Environmentalists and experts blame President Jair Bolsonaro for rolling back environmental protections, opening room for loggers and ranchers to illegally clear more of the Amazon. The latest figures come as Brazil approaches the worst of the annual burning season in the Amazon, when ranchers and farmers often set fire to areas deforested earlier in the year. Now, based on data by a National Space Research Agency, INPE, fires in the region tend to spike in August and September. In July, fire alerts increased 8% from the previous year. Last month, Brazil's Environmental Authority granted an initial permit that will allow a major highway to be paved through the center of the rainforest, a move that threatens to further increase deforestation. First up, losing 3-4 through penalty shootout against Vietnam saw Malaysia under-19 squad went home to end the fourth international under-19 football Tan Nyen Tournament 2022 campaign in second place. However, the loss did not faze the spirit of under-19 coach Wan Hassan Sazali. Wan Hassan took the tournament as a good exposure to his squad, as most of them are new players compared to other countries such as Myanmar and Vietnam, who put their main national squad in the lineup. He also applauded the players' performance in the tournament despite their lack of experience on international stage.
Muka-muka baru yang saya bawa bagi kejohanan ini, saya cuma ada 6 pemain sahaja yang regular sewaktu kejohanan AFF yang lepas. Jadi positif saya lihat dengan pemain-pemain yang ada pada kejohanan ini, mereka menunjukkan satu performance yang baik untuk saya menilai ataupun melihat mereka bagi saya senaraikan bagi pusat latihan ataupun pemilihan pemain yang terakhir yang kita bermula pada 1 sehingga 10 hari bulan September kelak.
He said this when met at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, yesterday. Real Madrid's Karim Benzema and Thibaut Courtois and Manchester City's Kevin De Bruyne are in the running for UEFA's 2021-2022 Men's Player of the Year award after topping a 15-player shortlist. Now, the winner will be announced with the UEFA Men's Coach of the Year and Women's Player and Coach of the Year at the 2022-2023 Champions League group stage draw in Istanbul on the 25th of August. Benzema and Courtois helped Real seal a record 14th European title last season, while De Bruyne guided City to the Premier League title, his 4th crown in 7 seasons at the club. Among other nominees for the award are Barcelona's Robert Lewandowski, Real's Luka Modric, and Bayern Munich's Sadio Mane. Real's Carlo Ancelotti, City's Pep Guardiola, and Liverpool's Jurgen Klopp were among the nominees for the Male Coach of the Year. UEFA will name nominees for the Women's Awards next week. On to tennis, Hubert Hurkacz survived an attacking bombardment from Nick Kyrgios to reach his 4th ATP Masters 1000 semi-final on Friday in Montreal, overcoming the Australian 7-6, 6-7, 6-1 in 1 hour and 46 minutes. Now, in an absorbing clash at the National Bank Open presented by Rogers, the Pole adjusted to the 27-year-old's quick play on serve, while he delivered decisive blows from his own strings to advance. Last week's Washington champion Kyrgios entered the match red-hot form, having won 15 of his past 16 matches, with his only defeat coming against Novak Djokovic in the Wimbledon final. In a lively match, both players looked strong on serve for large periods, battled back in the second set. With the help of a net cord at 3-2 in the second set tiebreak, the world number 27 gained a crucial mini break before he levelled the match with his 7th ace of the set. A third set push was he played the more consistent and aggressive tennis, with home favourite Auger-Aliassime leaking errors from both wings. Now, after breaks were exchanged at the start of the first set, it was Ruud who found his range to... Final item on cycling, a rejuvenated Dylan Groenewegen sprinted to his 7th victory of the 2022 season at the Arctic Race of Norway yesterday. And there could yet be more to come as the Dutchman turns his attention to a series of one-day races this autumn. The 29-year-old bike exchange Jayco rider was fortunate to stay on his bike after Christian Sabaragli of Alpecin Technique bumped him as he crashed with 2 kilometers to go. Now, taking to the grass, Groenewegen stayed upright and was taken deep into the final kilometer by makeshift lead-out man Nick Schultz. At the front, Intermarché Wanty, Gobert Metron and Total Energies had squabbled for position, but it was Groenewegen who emerged into the win at over 250 meters to go. Despite a long sprint and slightly uphill dash to the finish, Groenewegen made the win look easy. Groenewegen had endured a tough 2021 campaign, his last with Jumbo-Visma in the wake of his now infamous crash with Fabio Jakobsen at the 2020 Tour de Poland. However, since transferring to Bike Exchange Jayco this year, the 29-year-old has been a regular on the top step of the podium. And that's it from us this afternoon in our top story. Malaysia hails potential of cooperation with Qatar. Join us again tonight at 10 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM for the latest news. I'm Jessica Lee. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.